Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel of the Sailum Martial Arts Academy of India. Every year, for a few weeks, the passionate members of this academy get together for a Sailum Martial Arts camp, where we exchange ideas and learn from our Grandmaster and founder of SMAI, Acharya Raghu. Some of you saw the video from our last camp, and some of you said you wanted us to go deeper into what it is exactly that we do. So this time around, we will be creating a multi-episode series of videos which will include talks and a deeper view into our practices and workouts, the philosophies and ideas that drive us, and of course Q&A sessions for those of you who might have any kind of questions. This is a great opportunity for any of you who might be interested in martial arts like Taekwondo, Shaolin Kung-fu, MMA, or even those of you who might be interested in the history of martial arts, Indian martial arts, philosophies like Zen, or anything to do with martial arts in general. So feel free to post your comments below and do subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with our upcoming videos and also to keep track of what we'll be doing in the coming days. And of course, welcome to the Sailum Camp 2021. One of the first questions that any beginner to martial arts or any novice might have is, why do we do this? Why do we spend hours and days and weeks and years practicing this art? Today it is mostly synonymous with self-defense, but is there more to it? Are there deeper objectives behind practicing the art that we do here at this academy, Sailum, Shaolin Kung-fu? This was the question that we posed to Acharya Raghu at a fireside chat yesterday, and this is what he had to say.
Right, Siddharth. Very reasonable and logical question. Why do we need to invest so much of time, energy and efforts behind these practices? And yes, always I say that in our academy, we don't just practice martial arts, but we practice Kung Fu. I don't hesitate to say that martial arts is a misnomer. This is not a suitable word. Kung Fu is not fighting alone. Okay, when we come to the objectives, why do we do for such a prolonged periods of time in our life, maybe sometimes stretching beyond 40 years, 50 years? One of the most important thing is, it is to do with the mind more than body. It is to do with the mind. It is to pacify your mind. It is to tranquilize your mind. It is to achieve the non-dualistic state of oneness of your mind, undivided, a single-mindedness. Apart from that, it is to achieve the bodhisattva. They say that very clearly, the Buddha mind. And you must remember, it's not my words. If you look back into the Shaolin history, one of the texts that surfaced in 1624 AD, through the efforts of one of the Buddhist monk called Zhongheng, or purple cabulated man, he brought the text in 1624, believed to be a text which was imported by Bodhidharma from India into the land of China. So those two texts, like we call it as Zisui, means bone marrow rejuvenation, and Yi Jing Jing means sinews transformation classic. These are the two texts. These two texts, like what I wanted to tell you mainly, one of the texts that Yi Jing Jing are the sinews or muscles or tendons transformation classic. Its preface is very important for us. Why it is important for us? The reason being, the objective is clearly pronounced in that particular text. And who wrote that preface? Well, there are so many disputes and disagreements, controversies. Some scholars believe that it is a spurious and a forgery text, but which I don't believe. Through my researches, I found there is an essence to reject same. In the text, it is clearly mentioned that the Kung Fu practices were not meant for the martial combats, the mortal combats, or to achieve the kind of superhuman faculties to beat others, but to achieve the bodhicitta, Buddha's mind. These were very clearly pronounced, and it is believed to have been written by a general, the first general of Tang dynasty, Li Xing, who lived between 571 to 648 AD. This man had written this preface in 628 AD. So, in that it is very clearly pronounced. Further, there are so many other monks, what we find in the tradition as well as historical accounts, who clearly wrote that they have practiced the staff or the weapon movements for achieving nirvana. Very clearly it is written, hundreds of centuries years before. Considering that fact, I don't hesitate to say that the primary objective of these practices was, principal objectives was spiritual. Then comes the physical, then psychic, various others. So, this particular practices were basically like for spiritual and for mind culture. We have a wushu element in Kung Fu. Kung Fu has wushu element, but wushu is not Kung Fu. On a big ocean of Kung Fu, wushu is just a wave, but a wave cannot be an ocean. But we do have martial components, we do practice martial components as an other objective. When it comes to the other objective, we wanted to achieve the objectives of practicing this art as a martial art to achieve that capabilities for the self-defense, be it in a street, be it in a sports complex, fighting in a sports arena. So, we do also practice for the extreme form of defending ourselves, but this is not a kind of an aggressive, violent martial art, but it is a very potent, very formidable, very strong self-defense which has such kind of ingredients in it. So, there is a martial arts component in it, but that is not the whole. Then next, coming to the question of what I emphasize more to most of you is the Shaolin Kung-fu or whatever we are practicing in our academy is a psychic culture. It's not a physical culture. It's not alone the mind culture. A fusion between, a synthesis between, an amalgamation between a physical and mind culture which results in the psychic culture. In the psychic culture, there are extraordinary energies that are tapped and brought out from your bodies. So, where one side the spirituality and another side the physical power, both acts in tandem to bring out best of the best energy from your body. You may ask me, do you have any such elements to justify yourself that you are practicing psychic acts? Yes, we do have, like mudra, mantras, recitations, and various kinds of yearly Vajrayana phase. Particularly, I don't hesitate to say about the Guhya Samaj Tantra elements. Certain things which are prevailing in now currently in the Tibet, which have gone extinct from the even the Zen or Shaolin tradition. These all things we do practice. In this various kriyas are there, charyas are there, tantras are there. These all things are also practiced along with this martial art. So, there is a psychic culture, and in this psychic culture, we try to achieve extraordinary combination between mind and body, and which was also done by the Shaolin monks those days. We have even a culture, something called a deification. May sound strange for you, for a modern reader or a listener. What is this deification? Right from the practicing uniform to your belt to a weapon in your hand to the practicing ground, to the literature, to a teacher, everything is deified. The entire martial art brought under one ambit, and now that is one deification is Yaksha or Vajrapani. And in fact, you will be surprised to know that the staff that what we use in Shaolin Kung-fu, the stick, the staff, that we call it as Yaksha Gun, means Yaksha staff. Yaksha is one of the zoomorphic prehistoric tribe of India, along with Kinnaras, Yakshas, Vanaras, Rakshas, Jambavantas. These are all like prehistoric. And this thing appeared, and you will be surprising to know that in the nerve center of Shaolin, there is a temple dedicated for Vajrapani, facing right opposite to Bodhidharma's shrine in Shaolin. And as early as in 12th century itself, the Shaolin abbot Suduwan pronounced in an inscription that for extraordinary powers of psychic measures, they worship Vajrapani using mantra, mudra and all these things. Means deification of you and your ground. You offer the prayers to the ground, you offer the prayers to the weapon, you offer the prayers to the literature, you offer prayers to the teacher, preceptor. So this is a psychic culture which we have along with a spiritual culture, a martial component, a psychic culture. The next objective is to achieve the immaculate health, the another angle, which is pronounced in the I Ching Zing preface also, which is also upheld by the Shaolin monks for generations. At the forefront of the health objective, what do we have? We have Vajrakaya, the diamond body, a culture known as Vajrakaya culture, clearly pronounced in various documents related to the Shaolin, where a monk or a practitioner a normal body turns like a diamond body. What here means a diamond means a body that can only penetrate it by itself. The diamond only can cut by itself, nothing else can cut the diamond. So the Vajrakaya concept was quite prevalent in the Shaolin culture. And what are the elements? For example, if in case for the psychic culture, if I say mudra, mantra, recitations, deifications and all, but for this thing also, like we have a kind of a culture in Shaolin like iron shirt, iron bull, golden bell armor. These are all well recorded. People did practice and we are practicing, and I think last camp also we have put certain illustrations in the video. So the practicing of Vajrakaya, which generally you may not find in several other martial arts circles which are mostly dedicating for only the fighting thing, that's part and parcel of this academy. And this Vajrakaya, when achieved, what is the objective of it? It's not only that you will be immune from the attacks of an opponent, that an attacks kicks, an attacks punches, opponent punches, kicks, that you will save yourself, but also you are supposed to save. You should be immune, you should be insulated from even the ravages of the nature. What are the ravages of the nature? The heat, the cold, the tremendous snowfalls, spending times in Himalayas, your water. These are all the whatever you have in natural elements, the disturbances that arises out of the natural elements, vitiation, even those things not supposed to disturb a monk. Apart from it, a monk also is immune from the poisons. You must understand that particularly in the Siddha culture, which is the forerunner to this Shaolin Kung-fu culture, voluntarily the monks were taking various kinds of poison, which I had quite elaborately written in my research work, that it was a habit to take the poison of scorpions and snakes and get the snake bites, right? So even they are immune from such kind of external agents which are supposed to kill you, even immune from the pathogens, maybe bacteria, virus. They should be rock solid to withstand any kind of thing. This was the objective. Don't think that a Vajrakaya means only you will be very strong to withstand the attacks of an opponent or a weapons strikes or whatever. It is also your ability to sustain the injuries that occurs due to various reasons, maybe as I said, the ravages of nature, pathogens, or kind of poisons that what occurs. Like today we see that there is plenty of biomagnification, various poisons entering into our body. These monks were capable enough to withstand all this. So these are all like, objectives we have. It's apart from the spiritual, martial component of fighting, then you have a psychic culture, then you have an element of health. And when you combine all these things, that is when a martial artist emerges. But remember, apart from all these things, we have one more thing. Since I said that this is not a sport, but it is an art, so there is an aesthetic sense, there is a beauty, there is a classical, there is a fine art like thing element is also involved in this martial art. So when we perform, the objective of practicing in the Sailum group achieves its fulfillment when we meet those requirements for the perfection of mind, the perfection of intent, the perfection of stances, the perfection of moves, the perfection of gestures, the perfection of breath, the perfection of gaze, the perfection of your muscles and flow of chi, the perfection in every sphere of act, that what you enact, what you project to the person who is watching at you and to yourself. When the perfection is achieved, this is translated into your character, that satisfaction, the perfection in every sphere of your act. These are the things that which makes a perfect martial artist, not fighting alone. So apart from all these things, we also thrive, we also struggle to build that beautiful element. You may ask me that what do we have? We have various forms, various animal styles, we have beautiful weapons. When you move along with them, it's like a rhythmic dance, beautiful dance. Perhaps we may not have such dances, even some of the dances, such kind of beautiful stances we have enacting the animal characters. So these are all the things that we have a common objective to achieve such kind of things. We are investing because this is a lifetime affair. It cannot be done in an year or two. It requires dedication and your surrender, your ability to absolve and take the punishment, digest the pain. These all things together rises you to that altar, that is, rises to that platform where a good martial artist is born. These are the reasons why do we do for so many years.